Hey guys, Technomentary with a really exciting video for you guys today. We're going to show you guys the top 10 things that you want to do whenever you get your new iPhone SE. So I have the product version of the iPhone SE that I pre-ordered, and these are the top 10 things that I do when I first set up my iPhone SE. Before we get started, if you guys are new to our channel, we do a lot of tech news, reviews, videos, and giveaways, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. So let's go ahead and get started with this video. So I have the iPhone SE 2020 edition that was recently released. But when I was doing the setup, it made me think there's some things that I want to do whenever I set up an iPhone. So I want to share those with you guys. So the first thing you want to do is actually change the wallpaper, right? So the Apple default wallpaper is this red one, but you can put your own custom one or select another wallpaper. To do that, simply go into settings. Then once you're in settings, you're going to want to go scroll down to the actual wallpaper option. So that option, as you can see, is right here. Once you're in there, here you'll notice that you can choose a new wallpaper, and simply they have dynamic or still. So we're going to check out these ones right here. As you can see, maybe I want to pick this one, so I'm going to select that one, and then after that I want to set that. So you have an option to set a lock screen, home, or both. So we're going to select both in this case, and that's how you set up a wallpaper. Also, if you're looking to set up one that's specifically from your photos, you can simply go ahead. I'm going to show you guys here. Let's say I have a photo here, right? So if I want to set this photo to be the whole wallpaper, simply go on to your photos, then you're going to hit this arrow right here, right? Once you hit that arrow, you're going to notice that if you scroll down, it says use as wallpaper. So that's how you would use a photo to be your wallpaper. If I use that same thing, it will ask if I want to do a lock screen, home, or both. So that's how you would set up a photo to be your lock screen or your wall home. So let's move on to the next thing. So the next thing I usually like to set up on the iPhone SE or new iPhones that have the home button is that haptic feedback. So if we go into settings, right, there's a special settings specifically for your home button. So in general, you'll notice there's a home button option. So the home button option, you could choose how the home button feels when you press on it. So they give you three options. So you want to test it out. So simply the higher number will give you, more of a press that you have to press to activate the home button, where a lighter one like number one will make the home button smoother. So this home button is actually controlled by the software of the phone. So play around with it, see which one you like the most for your feel for the home button. I like that feature because sometimes I like to have the home button to be less sensitive, so I don't have to press as hard. But you could be a person that likes to press it hard. You might want to select the third option. So play around with that and figure out what you like. Let's move on to the third option that I want to show you guys when you're setting up your phone, which is actually around display and brightness. So in settings, again, we're in settings now. We're going to want to go to display and brightness. And in display and brightness, you'll notice you have the option to select light mode by default or the dark mode. So if you go dark mode, right, you have a dark contrast, light, dark. And then you can also set up what's known as, to be automatic. So you can set it to give a couple options so that it goes from light and dark mode depending on whether there's sunset or sunrise, or you can choose a custom schedule as well, whatever you like. So that's another option you can do here. Another option you'll notice is this True Tone. So True Tone automatically adjusts your phone's display based on ambient lighting controls that make the colors will feel more consistent with the environment. So that's something you will want to turn on if it's not on already. And then finally, all these other options that you have, you want to go ahead and play around with it. For example, zoom or non-zoom. So if you're a person that likes bigger text, I suggest using the zoom version of it. Or if you're are fine with the default one, you can have the standard one. So that's another setting to play around with and set. Let's move on to the next settings that you want to look whenever you're setting up your iPhone SE for the first time, which is in privacy. This is a big area to look at. So whenever you set up your phone, you're going to want to review all the settings for your or location services. So go into location services and you'll notice the location service is on. And when you start downloading apps, you'll notice that a lot of the apps will want your location services, although it might not need it. So you're gonna review that and then go ahead and turn it off if it doesn't need it. Go one by one and do that. Next, you're gonna wanna go into these system services. So under system services, these are Apple defined services that they think that you'll need location services on, but you're not going to need location services. For example, if I'm not using Apple Pay, I may not need that. If I'm not using Compass, I'm going to turn that off because I don't travel much. You might want to leave it on for emergency and SOS. That's important. Same with Find My iPhone. I might not need it for HomeKit because I don't use that. Go ahead and look through these. For example, location-based ads, you're not going to need that. Location-based alert, probably not. Suggestions, all of these, as you see, there's a bunch of them that are pointless. So I'm turning those, the ones that are not really needed here, because I don't really rely on it. You might want to leave the time zone one, because if you travel a lot, it will adjust your clock based on that. Go ahead and review those and then turn them off. You can always go ahead and turn these back on. For example, motion and collaboration. And it's if you use a fitness app a lot, you might need that. But if you don't, you can turn that off. So a lot of these other ones, it'll give you a kind of explanation if you turn it off and it thinks it needs it. So review those. Other thing you want to look at is significant location. So Apple likes to track, wherever you're going based on these significant location. Since I haven't used this, enough yet, I haven't have anything yet, but it'll start tracking it. So you want to go ahead and turn that off if you don't want it to track your location that you are going to. Lastly, product improvement. This one, I don't know why you would want to leave on unless you want to give feedback in terms of Apple for its analytics and things of that nature. I usually turn these off because I don't want it to know about using my phone as a guinea pig to test those out. So these are crucial as well. And finally, this is a setting I usually like to turn on, is this status bar icon. So what will happen is if you turn this on, you'll notice these little arrow appear. So this will appear every time the phone is actually activating the GPS service. So you'll know if your location service is on or something is actually using it, which is very helpful if you're looking to save battery, because the GPS that turns on, that sensor actually drains your battery faster than normally how your phone drains. So that's important as well. Let's move on to the next setting for you guys. Now this is to improve your camera settings. So in settings, you're going to want to go look at your camera setting. The default settings might not be optimal, so we're going to go into settings, camera, and you notice one thing I like to usually do is that I record in 4K. So what I do is go ahead and look at that. By default, it's at 1080p. You want to do 4K, you want to select this option either at 24, 30. Usually I like to record at 30 frames per second because 30 frames per second does give you really crystal quality videos. Also, you'll notice that, if you do use 4K, it's going to take up a little bit more memory on your phone. So be conscious of that and read this. So if you're not if you don't have a phone that doesn't have a lot of storage, or you want to save storage, you might want to record at a lower settings. Lastly, you want to look at this record, slow motion to make sure that you're at 240 frames per second to give you more frames per second when you're doing recording. Let's move on to the next tip I have for you guys, which is actually setting up your medical profile. So in the health app, a lot of times, most people don't do that, but what you want to do is set up a health profile. This is crucial in terms of emergency, because if you have some kind of medical condition that medical personnel should know, this is important to enter that. You want to enter your name, your date of birth, of course your height and weight, and after that you also want to add other information, such as health records that are crucial for emergency medical person to know in case of emergency. That if you're a person of health issues, that's really important to do. So set up your medical ID. I recommend that highly. Next thing we want to set up is this emergency feature. So by default, you'll notice in settings, there's the emergency SOS. So if you click that, you'll notice that default, it's not turned on. But what this feature will do, call with side button, if you turn this on and press the power button 5 times, it'll activate a call to the police, right? So we'll show you guys how that's done. So if with this turned on, if I press this 5 times, so let's go ahead and do it 5 times. 3, 4, 5. Let's try again. So with this time, what we're gonna want to do is rapidly press 5 times, and let's do this while we're holding the home button. So if we do the home button and then rapidly press this 5 times, we should see a call to the emergency. As you can see right here, you'll have this option to call, for help by pressing it 5 times. So we're going to go ahead and cancel that. That's important as well if you, are looking to be, more safe, when you have your phone and, you don't want to call someone, text someone, because in times of emergency, you want to be able to quickly do something with your phone that will call the police. So that's important. Next, and, the last tip that I wanted to share with you guys is around organizing your apps. Like whenever you get your phone, first you'll download a lot of apps and they're going to be cluttering up your home screen. What I usually like to do is organize apps based on, social media, if it's for shopping. So if you want to organize, you could simply hold it and then edit the home screen layout. So if you do that, you'll be able to move these apps around. For example, if you put it in another folder, it'll automatically put that in a folder, and then you can actually customize that folder. So if this was for shopping apps, I can put shopping, right? And it makes it a bit more cleaner. Maybe I'll put the gaming apps in a game folder. So I'll go ahead and move these game apps by dragging it simply into that folder. And then it knows already that this is the gaming folder, as you can see right now. So that gives it a much more cleaner look. I can quickly navigate to that folder and know that that's the gaming, that's the shopping one. Or even here, as you can see, this one for utilities that the default iPhone has. So hopefully this video was helpful. If this video was helpful, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to our channel so you can get the latest tips and tricks on your iPhone and the giveaways that we do make announcements. Thanks for watching, guys.